this is the Polygon test review. So this is the review for this one. Okay, so remember we have, it says sum of the interior and exterior angles for the following. Okay, so for interior, okay, so remember interior is the inside. If we're painting the interior of the house, it's going to be the inside. Is the number of sides minus 2 times 180 degrees. Okay, so n is, remember, the number of sides. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So I'm going to substitute in 6 minus 2. So the hexagon, so 6 minus 2 times 180. Okay, and I get 720. Okay, that's for the interior angles. Okay, so that's interior. Exterior, for any polygon, the sum of the exterior angles is 360. So for all polygons, the exterior angles is 360. So for this one, everybody, so interior, okay, so interior is going to be number of sides minus 2, so remember that's an n, times 180. Okay, and this is an octagon, so it has 8 sides. 8 minus 2 times 180. And if you wanted to show it step by step, so that would be 6 times 180 is going to equal 108. So that would be the sum of the angles. And then again, for the sum of any, the exterior angles, so the sum of the exterior angles for any polygon is 360. Okay, so for this one, it says find the value for the following sides. So we know that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides. Okay, and we already did that up there. We know that if it has 6 sides, the sum of the angles is 720. So I'm going to substitute that in. So I'm going to go 720 is going to be equal to the angle. So we have x plus 121 plus 96 plus 101 plus 162 plus 90. Everybody remember that means that it's 90. So then we're going to add, combine like terms, so add all the numbers together. So I add all those together, and I got 570. Then remember we're going to subtract 570 from each side. What we do on the one side, got to do the other side. So we're going to get x is equal to, so 720 minus 570 is 150. So the sum of the, so that angle is equal to 150. For this one, everybody, we know that the sum of the angles is going to be equal to 360. So it's going to be 360. Sum of the exterior angles is always 360 plus 2x plus 3x plus 44 plus 85 plus 71. So we're going to combine like terms. So I'm going to add all those together, and I'm going to add the x's together. So I get 360 is equal to 5x plus 200. Okay, remember we're going to subtract 200 from each side. What we do on the one side must do to the other side. So I got, this would be 0, so I get 160 is equal to 5x. Divide each side by 5. So I divide each side by 5, and I get x is equal to 32. Okay, for this one, remember with a polygon, so with this one, everybody, opposite angles are congruent. So opposite angles are congruent. That means the angle J is congruent to angle L. Opposite sides are also congruent. Okay, so it says solve for x. So we're just going to set them equal to each other. So I'm going to go 2x is equal to 50. Remember, because angle J is congruent to angle L. Divide each side by 2. And we get x is equal to 25. I'm going to do the same thing for the sides. So JK, side JK is congruent to side LM. So opposite sides are congruent. So we do x, y plus 3 is equal to 18. And then subtract 3 from each side. And I get y is equal to 15. So we're going to do the same thing for here. It says look at the following picture for the parallelogram. Okay, so for LM, okay, so that's this one across. Remember what we said, opposite sides are congruent. So LM is congruent to QN. So that means that LM is equal to 13 because QN is also equal to 13. Okay, and then it says for LP. So LP is congruent to PN, okay, because the diagonals bisect each other, so they're going to bisect it. So that means that LP is going to be equal to 7 because PN is also equal to 7. Okay. Then it says QM, so that's going all the way across here. Remember, diagonals bisect each other. So QM is going to be equal to, we're going to add those two diagonals that have been bisectors. So QP plus PM, and they're both going to be equal to 8 2/10. Remember, they bisect, so that means that they cut them in half. And we add those together. I think of money, $8.20 plus $8.20 is going to be $16.40. Okay, and then for the angle, okay, so it says angle QMN. Okay, so that's this one, and it says opposite angles are equal to each other. Opposite angles, so that means that the measure of angle QLM, they are going to be congruent. So that means that the measure of both of those angles is going to be equal to 100 degrees. Now it says the measure of QMN. Okay, so what we know is that consecutive angles or adjacent angles are supplementary. Okay, so that means that the measure of this angle plus the measure of Q and M is equal to 180. And we know that this measure of this angle, so measure QMN plus the measure QNM, which we just found to be 100, so I substitute in 100. Okay, and then we subtract 100 from each side. So the measure of LMN is going to be 80 degrees. It's going to be 80. Remember, so adjacent angles are supplementary. Also, please look at your special properties sheet. That you can use that on the test and on the final. Okay, other side, yay, more quadrilaterals. Okay, so number 12. So it says find the measure of DAC. Okay, so what I do know is that opposite angles are going to be adjacent. So the measure of D AC, which is this one. Okay. Remember diagonals bisect the angles, so that one is also going to be 50 degrees, 53. Okay, DB is going to be diagonals bisect each other, so that's going to be 8 plus 8 is 16. Okay, the measure of ABC, so measure of ABC, okay, is going to be, if you look at it, right through it, I'm just taking out the diagonals, right? So 63 plus 63 is 106. Okay, so the sum of that angle is 106. And we know that adjacent angles or are supplementary. Okay, so the sum of these two angles is equal to 180. So for this one, I'm going to do, it's going to be x 180 minus 106 is going to equal 74. Adjacent angles are equal to 180. Okay, on this one. Okay, so we have our kite. Okay, so it says find the indicated measure. So measure BCD. Okay. It says the measure of DAE is 20. Okay, so it says this one is 20. Right in here. Sorry, this one right here is 20. And that one, the EDC. So EDC is 72. Okay, so that means that the measure of BCD is going to be equal to, if you think about the triangle, so like if I took that out, this is also going to be 72. So I'm just taking the shape out, because this is a triangle, and we know that the sum of the angles for a triangle is 180. So I'm going to use that to solve for this one. So we combine the like terms. So 72 plus 72 is 144. I subtract 144 from each side. Remember, what I do onto one side must do the other side, the equal sign. So we get that the angle would be 36. Okay, now they want us to find the measure of ABC. So they want this whole angle right here, so this whole thing. Okay, so we know it's going to be, so we have 20 right here. So if I take this angle, this triangle out, I have 20 right here. This is 20. That's a right angle, so that's 90. So again, we're going to use that. So we're going to have, this will be our x. So x plus 90 plus 20 is equal to 180. And then we're going to go x plus 110 is equal to 180. Subtract 110 from each side. Okay, so then I get that that is 70. So this angle, this part right here, that angle right there is 70. We know that this angle, I'll write it bigger so you can see, is 72. So if I added those two angles together, so 70 plus 72, the sum of that angle is going to be 142 degrees. Okay, so this one for measure for angle R. So remember, adjacent angles are supplementary. Okay, great. And on this one, okay, so this is for isosceles trapezoid. The base angles are congruent. Okay, so base angles are congruent. So this is going to be 82. Measure of angle 2, we're going to find that. So 180 minus 82 is going to give us 98 degrees. So the measure of angle 2 is 98 degrees. Okay, so this one, it says classify the special quadrilateral. So this one we know adjacent sides are congruent. So this is going to be a kite. Okay. This one, it has one pair of parallel sides. So it's a trapezoid. Okay. And then this one, all the sides are congruent and all the angles are right angles. Okay. Because we know opposite angles are congruent. So that means this one is a square. Okay. This one, so you're going to have to graph it. And if it's at an angle, just verify that the slopes are congruent. So when we graph this one, everybody, you're going to find that it's a rectangle. Okay. But you need to graph it. So remember, when in doubt, graph it out. You got this.